Welcome to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast.
Best fans in the league right here, baby!
With your hosts, Colin and Mike.
Susie Q.
Produced by Mark and Johnny Z. Bleed Red Blacks starts now.
Red Blacks.
Gabriel is open in the end zone. Touchdown! The Ottawa fans and players are going crazy.
Your number one podcast for all things Red Black.
Left, Henry still on his feet. Now the toss, and it is caught for the touchdown. Wallace Miles.
Every season,
Marco drops the pass. End zone shot. Back right corner. Caught for the touchdown. Jamal Smith.
all season.
For Burris on first down, drops the pass, pressured in the pocket, takes off himself, down to the goal line. Touchdown, Burris.
Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. It's a beautiful Sunday morning in the South Keys. I'm sure that's the first time anyone has ever said that. And I'm joined here in studio once again by the one and only season ticket holder Mike. What's up?
Oh. got my, and you can hear Johnny Z in the background. We'll introduce him in a few minutes. But yeah, we got our coffee going this morning. And
Well, some of us
got our coffee.
Yeah, so yeah, as you can hear, once again, we are joined by producer Mark and his amazing velvet peanut butter. This week we decided to turn down the reverb on his voice so it didn't sound like he was doing the national anthem at a Dodgers game the whole episode.
Yep.
But anyways, we're working it out. We're working out the kinks. We're not used to dealing with a baritone like him, so we also have another special guest in the house. Producer Johnny Z is here this morning, and he'll be joining us for our Camp Life and Around the CFL segment. There he is.
Yep.
Yeah, so may the coffee flow dark and the Egg McMuffin stay warm. Sorry, Mark, I should have brought you a
And
coffee.
I got neither.
I just so many times I've walked into this house and Mark's been like, would you like an espresso? Or would you like he's Mr. Fresh Bean, Grind Bean High Roller. And I thought if I showed it up in here with like, a McDonald's French press, you would have turfed it. But now I know caffeine.
I'm still an Elgin County kid at heart, though.
I know.
We didn't have espresso in Elgin County when I was growing up.
Garcon, can I get an Americano, please?
Garcon.
Yeah, no, it's with a K. 2 Americanos, Garkin.
2 venti lattes, por favor.
Yeah, so it's so great to be back in the studio. And, it's also so nice to see just the buzz, the Our Nation buzz. Like, everyone's getting so excited for this team to be back on the field. They're excited for games. They're excited for everything just growing. It's amazing. What's going on in the city? So race weekend was last weekend, and pretty motivating to see thousands of runners bopping down Elgin as I sit at the patio of the Fox and Feather and drinking a beer. I mean, that's my kind of sporting event, but it was very motivating to see tens of thousands of people
Trying to be active.
running, and congratulations to all of those who not only completed but who participated. Mad props to you. I can only imagine the time it takes to get ready for stuff like that. So, congratulations, and hopefully one day, Bleed Red Blacks crew will sorry, we're all like laughing. I don't even know what I'm gonna say, and you're like, just shut up before I even bring up running.
Yeah, when they open it to SUVs, you might see me competing in a 40K run, but
If they start a 1-speed bike division, Mike,
Little
maybe
fixie.
Nice. Get my fixie in.
Yeah. Great feedback from our last episode. Thanks for all the support, guys. It totally drives us to continue on this journey of craziness, and obviously mad props to all of our contributors.
And Santino just killed last week, and just a lot of social media feedback based on his rant alone.
His rant was amazing, and the sincerity of it was crazy. And I mean, he's from a man who's halfway around the world to have his finger on the pulse of basically everything that's happening in Ontario, and
shows you the information age we live in, right? So it's amazing.
Very impressive. I mean, I read other local rags from Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, and he seems to be taking the step above. So these new media reporters, they're got some talent for sure.
I love it.
So the World Series of Poker is kicking off. It's a big thing for me. For the first time in 5 years, I'm not going this year.
I didn't write you my check this year.
So I have a few. Yeah, I know. Hey, I wrote one back to you last year.
I know.
I actually had a positive ROI last year.
Yeah,
Like,
that's good.
People always say, give me an ROI, but I mean, if it's negative, it's not kind of useless, right? So anyways, I have a few friends, players that listen to the show. So to you guys, good luck this year. And I hope the 1% that I bought of your action turns out to be a big payback for me. And may you go on the heater of a lifetime, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's some
Run like
inspiration.
God.
Yeah, may you harness your inner hamburglar. Baseball is back in the capital.
Yeah, you enjoyed the Champions game. What,
Oh,
two
I
of them
love
last?
it.
Two of them last weekend.
I went to 2 of the 3 games last week. I even squeezed one in before Kids in the Hall. So, you know, trying to keep some diversity with my social activities, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering how long until the players start sleeping in the stadium.
No, come on now.
What?
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
It's not the. It's
I
not the
joke.
Fat
It's not the
Cats.
Fat Cats. It isn't. I took the pedestrian bridge over from train.
It's a beauty, yeah.
Just awesome. It's actually a multi-use path, so it's actually you can ride your bicycle across it as well.
Yes.
So it's awesome seeing a structure that's actually used, right? Compared to the pedestrian bridge at Blair, which is its primary use is swarmings, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's what you get for hanging out at Blair Station. Let's be honest. Like, what are you going there for? Mongolian village? No. Tanning booth? No. Like, come on, it's a write-off. Anyways, I was talking about baseball. So they gave the ballpark a little bit of a facelift. They fixed the washrooms up. So good on the new owners. I think they're really going at it the right way this time. And they also have a partnership with Kitchissippi, which is nice. They
Local
offer 6 different kinds of beer at like $5 pints or whatever.
Good.
So
Good on them.
yeah, really awesome. So everyone support local baseball, and even if it's 1 game or 2 games, take your buddies, the wife, the kids, your partner, whatever. Go out and enjoy the game and support our local baseball team.
Speaking of beer, you went to the Brewers Market in Hindenburg, didn't you?
I did, and I've been to a few of them. I think Johnny Z was actually there, but I didn't see him there. But
tried to get to it, but for another show.
okay, so Johnny wasn't there. He just lied. Twitter.
I really did want to go to that.
So it was cool. So we've been to a few of them now. So we actually played a drinking game. So it involved spotting top knot. So every time you saw another person with a top knot, you had to make your buddy drink. And if you saw the trifecta, which was a top knot, the beard, and Tom's together, you had to finish your drink. So that was kind of fun. Needless to say, we went through beers pretty quickly because that defines basically half the people at the beer fest. Yeah.
Welcome to Hindenburg.
I mean, the Hipster 360, we talked about it on the basement tapes. You know, it can catch on, right?
It could.
Those back knots. That's only one place you can tie your hair in a knot, right?
That's right.
So happy birthday, YouTube! Happy 10th birthday! And now that you've officially established yourself, after 10 years, we think you are here to stay.
Yes.
So we decided to, take that leap of faith and put Bleed Red Blacks up on YouTube.
Yeah. Thanks to producer John. He's doing great work. Johnny is able to get that up with timing markers as well, which is awesome. I don't know what all that means, other than you can skip through the segments.
That's great. If you just want to hear Johnny, or you just want to hear Santino or Janin or whatever, that's awesome. So I'm really excited, and the numbers coming out of there after the first couple of weeks have been pretty overwhelming, to be honest.
I like my analytics with this show. That's what I'm saying. We got the market share, so got good market share.
Yeah. So what's up with the Jays? Have you been watching much Jays?
I haven't, and it's funny. You and I go on these binges where I'll watch like 10 Jays games in a row, and I think the last stretch of games I watched was early this month, and during that stretch, the pitchers like over a 10-game period were only averaging 5 innings a start,
Yeah,
and I just kept watching. It's with the Jays. It's either the rotation that starts leaving the team behind, or the bullpen, because the bats are swinging again, and I don't know. It's a frustrating team to watch for sure.
I don't know. I think it's time. I think Gibby's kind of run his course, and I think the Mumbler needs to go find a gig somewhere else. To be honest, like anything, you just bring in someone just to change it up a little bit. You know? Even if you got to bring Buck Martinez back in. No, I'm joking. I didn't mean that.
It'd be amazing.
We were talking about McDonald's a lot last week, and we don't tend to do that. But
We'll mention it.
we'll talk about this later on. But Mike did a little research on Grimace, and after reading his description, I think it'd be more appropriate if Mike Gibson was called Grimace due to his quote unquote slow-witted tendencies.
Ways. Yeah. Poor Mikey. He's gonna make this episode. This is 2 episodes he's made already, and it's in 3 for 3. I hope he's listening.
Better than the 23 for 23 negative ones you got last season.
Well, it's funny. I know we talked about this on the Grey Cup episode last year, but when I talked to GM Desjardins at the Red Blacks party in Vancouver, and I was like, "What are we gonna do for comedy next year now that Mike Gibson's gone?" Like, you realize how much harder it'll be to write the podcast, and it turns out it looks like that entity's still providing lots of good stuff. So maybe we can look up his new teams. I think he's coaching somewhere out west somewhere.
Yeah.
Either way, let's hunt him down and see what he's up to. Maybe, and let's just see if Mr. Gibson's learned, or if he's still doing the old 3rd and goal shotgun special.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say this in like a positive way, but I don't know how I feel about it. But what the hell is going on with Vice? Like, I remember when, like, if you read Vice Mag, you were like on top of your game. You were kind of like a forward-thinking, progressive, cool person or whatever.
The cool kids.
And now it's like, I don't know what's happened to it. I think it's great that they're giving like Joe Blows access to this, like these mediums, but man, I don't know what's going on with Vice.
Well, they sold to, there's News Corp now owns 5% share. Time Warner owns a share. And I just think, I've said it before, Vice pulled the biggest trick in media history, which was to get millennials involved and engaged, and then do a switcheroony and become a news organization that still, will, I'm trying to find the right word, but give in to corporate needs and corporate wants. So I think they pulled a great trick, because I'm with you. I was that kid that hunted down the Vice magazines in Ottawa and read them, and I had a subscription for years, and I still read Vice magazine, but Gawker is still considered another great news source, and good on Shane Smith. He's a billionaire now. So
yeah, so
local guy.
I don't know how long it'll be until you see Bleed Red Blacks ads on CDTV. Obviously not until we get purchased by Time Warner, right?
Yeah, we got that. I sent a letter saying,
Come talk to us.
Come talk to us. If we have time.
Yeah, if we have time. We're going to have a pretty busy Sunday.
We have.
So obviously I wrote this script prior to last night because my next segment says Tampa Bay versus Anaheim Stanley Cup. I guess it's nice avoiding winter weather. But Chicago won last night, so joke's on me. So apparently winter weather doesn't mean shizzle because Chicago's in there anyway.
Joke's on the Mike Gibson of the NHL and Bruce Boudreau, because that's how many
1-6 in Game 7s.
Yeah, poor guy. Because I'm a Boudreau fan. It was one of the reasons why I went ahead and hoped Anaheim would get through.
But man, that team did not look ready to play last night.
No legs in the first period,
No.
and just heads down after the second goal. And
Just goes to show you how wrong Hollywood can be, right? Emilio Estevez back in the early 90s with Mighty Ducks.
There's someone tweeted out.
We thought the Ducks were going to take the Hawks in the final, but I guess it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Goldberg should have been in net last night, obviously.
They should have brought out the Flying V.
No, someone actually tweeted that last week. There was a point in the game where obviously there's lots of points in the game where they're like in a kind of V configuration, and I don't know if they like photoshopped Emilio's face, but like I mean his father Martin must have been pretty proud of his son to be relevant again. Like, what the hell's Emilio been up to? Like,
Nothing.
well, wasn't he the?
Well, his brother kind of had to go off the deep end.
I think if he did a book signing at South Keys, like there wouldn't be anyone show up unless you're like a
Emilio who?
Young Guns fan or something, right?
Oh, Young Guns.
Young Guns.
Oh man,
Take
I had that.
me back to my high school days.
I had that on.
Days.
I had that on VHS, man. Be kind and rewind, son.
You watched Young Guns in preschool?
Well, not preschool.
I was gonna say, take me back to my
I think it was
preschool
probably
days.
like
I've never
grade
heard
4 or
anyone say
5
that.
or something like that.
Yeah, I had chicken pox. Watched 8 days in a row. So, not to be a broken record, but Montebello countdown,
3 weeks.
boys. 3 weeks. 3 weeks till meltdown.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys are staying hydrated, eating lots of fruit and veg, because you're not going to be eating anything other than crappy Quebec beer, dirt, and poutine for like 3 days. So
Yeah,
not necessarily in that order, but
Because whatever food we do pre-make and bring along, we'll eat at night one anyways, right?
we'll probably eat it on the way
On the
picking
way
up the RV. It's like, I know this lasagna is frozen and it's intended for tomorrow, but I have 5 forks.
Oh, I can't wait to see those boys. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing, yeah. So yeah, like I mentioned, social media is getting fired up.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun on Twitter this week and checking in on the players coming in. Me personally, hashtag creeping books on Hopkins' desk.
Yeah, what was up with that? So he put a tweet up and you basically turbo zoomed in and was going through.
I was like, oh, look, he reads.
It's like looking for that's like looking for the poop in the toilet in the bathroom selfie picture, you know? You're really digging for that, man.
Yeah. No, I knew
Did they leave the floater?
he liked it. I thought it was
Yeah, I
fun.
know, it was funny.
And there was a player, hashtag looking for a mattress. And,
Oh man, I feel so bad.
I'm not
going
gonna say who.
I put one out of the curb like 3 days ago, a Sealy Queen with a box spring.
Well, we live downtown. It probably had bed bugs, so.
Speak for yourself, bud.
All right.
Only been out in the rain for 2 days.
Instagram wet couches. Leave
There
it
you
at
go.
that. And then, of course, put Ottawa into the GPS. So a lot of guys were driving up here for this week. And just good to see social media blowing up with players talking about being back in town, looking for places to eat and hang out.
So we have a little Jinin segment coming up. What's Jinin talking about today, Mark? Or Mike, sorry, either one of you
Don't
two.
ask me.
Sorry.
I listened to it this morning with my
Okay.
cup of coffee. It's she's right in there talking about the Canadian content inside the draft and a lot of draft talk, which was good, and some of what we touched on in the offensive line she talks about as well.
Awesome.
So we get a double dose of O-line this week, and Santino's rant just entered my email just now on Sunday morning. So
Yeah, we're a little off this
We're
week.
all
doing it
frazzled,
in the
yeah.
morning. Stuff's coming in. Mark's got a pile of work to do.
Some would say rattled. I would go with frazzled.
Some would say that's right. Mike and I had a big rattled versus frazzled dispute
Yeah.
at Keith Harris Stadium last Wednesday at camp. So
one could be rattled, but never frazzled at the same time.
because and I said if you're rattled, it means you can still recover.
Yes.
But if you're frazzled, you can't like.
I'm going to get medication probably, or self-medicate like I usually do.
Well, maybe that's why you're frazzled in the first place. But
Yeah. Self-medication hasn't been working. That's awesome. Okay, guys, that's awesome.
Okay, let's roll into a little Santino action then.
Right on.
Can't wait. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Check us out on Twitter at Bleed Red Blacks and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bleed Red Blacks podcast.
Live from Brazil, here's the Red Black Renegade rant with Santino Filoso.
Are you ready?
Do you really mean to tell me that a 5'0" wide receiver is worth $40,000 more than Chad Owens?
We'll do it live.
If the helmets weren't ready this week, they should have pushed their introduction back.
It has begun.
News broke this week that the CFL has extended its TV contract with TSN until 2021. It's good news as it provides the CFL with long-term stability, and TSN has generally done a great job with its coverage. That being said, one area where TSN has repeatedly dropped the ball is when it comes to televising preseason games. For a network that boasts 5, that's right, count them, 5 channels, the fact that TSN only intends to broadcast 3 of the CFL's 9 preseason games is pathetic. Even worse for members of our nation, neither of Ottawa's games will be televised. I get that there are costs to producing a game, and that perhaps advertisers are more reluctant to buy commercial time in a preseason game, but don't try to argue that those same sponsors would prefer to put their money towards the audiences watching darts, baseball, or whatever NCAA Division II sport TSN happens to show that day. Here's a quick glance at what TSN will be showing at 7 p.m. on June 8th on its 5 channels instead of Ottawa's first game since early November. TSN 1, Women's World Cup Soccer. TSN 2, Women's World Cup Soccer. TSN 3, Women's World Cup Soccer. TSN 4, Women's World Cup Soccer. And lastly, TSN 5 will be showing a baseball game. In a world where we have such wide media options, if TSN is really worried about low ratings not making it worth their production costs, there's gotta be a creative solution. Perhaps TSN could simply broadcast the games and use interns to do the commentating instead of their regular on-air talent. Or maybe TSN could stream the game live from its website. To me, the streaming option is an absolute no-brainer and actually should be something the league does for every game. If the CFL really wants to grow their audience, a streaming package like NFL Game Pass or NHL Game Center is definitely the way to go. It would let American families track their players and just let people in general watch from their computers if they wanted to pay for that kind of service. It wouldn't cost much to set up and would make sure all games were available for every fan anywhere in the world. To sum up, I really like and appreciate what TSN has done for the CFL the past few seasons, but the decision not to air all 9 preseason games is a joke, unless the big wigs at TSN really believe that poker and baseball are more important than the first CFL game in 8 months. That's all for this week, guys. Make sure to rant back at Red Black Gade and remember to bleed Red Blacks.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Check us out at bleedredblacks.ca for blogs, photos, and podcast archives.
Dude, isn't she a Bombers fan?
Let me laugh even harder.
But for the love of God, please start hook sliding.
Dude, whatever. She's an Ottawa fan too.
Did Buck Pierce's constant injuries not teach you guys anything?
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Enough ranting, on to the games.
Really? Righteous. Welcome to Around the CFL with Jin on the Bleed Red Blacks podcast.
Is it June yet? Hell yes, it's June. With the preseason kicking off on June 8th and the season officially getting underway on June 25th when the Red Blacks visit the Alouettes, fans are getting more and more excited. I don't know about you, but I keep checking the mail every single day to see if my season tickets have come in. No Red Blacks tickets yet, but I did get the reminder from the University of Ottawa that it's time to renew with the Adopt a GG program. By adopting a GG, fans make a financial contribution that goes directly to the football program. In return, they are matched up with a student athlete for the season. Last year, I was paired up with one of the big guys on the D-line. He unfortunately sat out most of the season with a concussion sustained during training camp, but I did get to see him play in at least one game, and he made a real difference on the field. He and I chatted back and forth a few times throughout the season about the Red Blacks being back in Ottawa, about the heartbreaking Panda game, and about what a difference the Adopt a GG program makes for the players by providing better equipment, more funds for traveling, and coaching support, which makes me as a donor feel good. Plus, there's nothing wrong with spending an autumn Saturday afternoon watching those talented CIS players. It's how I came to know our very own Brad Sinopoli. And so, in honor of the CIS, I thought I would dedicate this week's Around the CFL to the most recent crop of Canadian university players who made it into the draft. It was a good year for CIS players. The 2015 draft was held on May 12th, and even though the guys had no sound while they were watching at Lansdowne Jack Astor's, I hope they noticed the whopping 44 CIS players picked for the 62 spots to be had. That's 71% of players picked up in the draft coming out of a Canadian university, second only to last year when 59 CIS players were chosen for 65 spots. There is some good national talent coming up through our university programs. We already know that the first pick overall went to the Ottawa Red Blacks and that they chose hometown boy Alex Mateus. Mateus, though, did not come up through the CIS. This marks the first time since 2006 that the first round pick isn't from a Canadian university. But we'll forgive our GM Marcel Desjardins. After all, Mateus may have played for Penn State and the University of Connecticut, but he is an Ottawa native. Plus, he is 6'4", 309 pounds, and he's an offensive lineman. We need his kind of size and power protecting Henry this season. It was a great first-round pick. 7 of the 9 first-round spots did go to CIS players. Not surprisingly, the second worst team of the 2014 season, Winnipeg, looked to shore up its leaky O-line to avoid Drew Willie being the most sacked quarterback 2 years in a row. And so 6'4", 303 pound Suk Chung of the Calgary Dinos goes to the Bombers. According to TSN, University of Calgary recruiters predicted as early as 2011, when Chung was still playing high school football in Port Coquitlam, that he would be a future first-round draft pick. Nice to see this kind of prediction come true. The third pick of the first round was another Calgary Dino, center Sean McEwen, drafted by the Toronto Argonauts. Another big boy at 6'2" and 303 pounds. Interestingly, McEwen still has has one more year to go before he completes his mathematics degree at the University of Calgary, and he says he's really keen on finishing his degree. But Argos GM Jim Barker is prepared to wait another season to have this guy snap the ball to Ricky Ray, assuming, of course, that Ricky Ray will still be playing in 2016. The Dinos really dominated the 2015 draft, with the most players at 7 being selected from the University of Calgary. The powerhouse Rouge et Or came in second, with 5 Laval players being drafted, 2 in the first round. These include O-lineman Danny Groux and Carl Lavoie, who went to Edmonton and Calgary respectively. Groux is a monster at 6'6" and 320 pounds. There was even some chatter earlier this spring that he would turn some heads in the NFL. He didn't. Maybe Riley won't have to scramble so much to get out of the pocket and pick up yards of his own with a guy like Groux protecting him. Linebackers were the most popular CIS players selected in the draft, with 9 of them being called up. 8 receivers also got the call, including University of Manitoba Bison Nick Dembski, 6th pick overall in the first round to Saskatchewan. I wonder how a Manitoba guy feels about going to the Rough Riders. They should be happy to have a big slot back like Dembski in their ranks. As the youngest player to ever be named CIS All-Canadian 4 times, he is a dynamic receiver, and Chamberlain will undoubtedly be expecting big things from him. As for Ottawa, we picked up 4 CIS players of our own. Receiver Jake Hardy and linebacker Tanner Dahl of the University of Calgary, running back Keenan Lafrance of the University of Manitoba, and offensive lineman Alexandre Lagagnère out of l'Université de Montréal. Some of these rookies were on display last week at the mini camp held out at Carleton University, and they are continuing to showcase their talents at the full training camp that continues this week. Practices are open to the public, so get out there and check out this homegrown talent for yourselves. I would not be a good alum of the University of Ottawa if I did not give special mention to the only U of O Gigi to make the cut this year. In the 5th round, defensive lineman Ettore Latanzio was drafted by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Latanzio is a little small for a defensive lineman at 5'11" and 246 pounds, but he is on a mission to prove that size doesn't matter. It helps that in 2014 he won the title of CIS Most Outstanding Lineman. I'm sure he's thrilled at the chance to get out on the field, and having watched him in action the past couple of seasons, I'm thrilled for him. So watch for these guys on the field, fans. I expect we'll hear more from many of them throughout the season. That's it for Around the CFL. Remember to tweet us back to share your thoughts about your league at Bleed Red Blacks and at Ottawa J.
Hey guys, for Instagram photos, check us out at Bleed Red Blacks. For game day photos, tailgate photos, and photos of whatever, come check us out at Bleed Red Blacks.
All right, O-line preview. So as we mentioned last week, as the season progresses, we're going to be featuring various players and position players. So this week we're going to do a little O-line preview. I guess that was motivated by our number 1 draft pick and some pretty awesome coaching staff upgrades this year.
Yeah, aren't we lucky? And we should be thrilled as fans to have Brian Chu now part of this great team package. Because last year, we had to rely on Mike Gibson, and he was basically taking care of both acting OC at the best of times, and
acting, yes.
Yep, and of course looking after the offensive line. And we know that didn't work out very well, but reading into what was going on last year and some of the inside information was, for the most part, John Gott was pretty much managing the offensive line. So, he's going to be a future coach like Brian Chu. I'm pretty positive of that. With 40-year-old Chu at the helm, this is an O-line that should this year play with a little bit more edge. Teammates love that guy. He was the type of guy that, played to the whistle and a little bit beyond, and he, his opposition hated him for that kind of play because he was very energetic. And the good thing about that is, when he was big 68, he spent a full 14 years with one team at the Montreal Alouettes, which is awesome. But he lived that hashtag camp life, and he's only 40, so he's not far removed from being out there and working with offensive linemen at camp and understanding the chemistry that's needed. So Brian Chu is probably one of the biggest assets we've added to the coaching in a long time. And with Chu, he was a real media darling too. Like, he was on camera a lot, so he has no problem speaking to the media. For the longest time, he had his own blog on sportsnet.ca, so good for him.
Cool, and let's not forget this guy's a proven winner. He's got the rings, and he brings that leadership to the locker room as well. Like a locker room that probably needs some leadership like that
Yeah,
as well.
two rings in those 14 years, and under Jim Pop, you couldn't ask for. That's the type of pedigree he comes from, right? And some of that, being under Jim Pop in Montreal just adds to that. And I at the end of the day, I really think that we're lucky to get him, because last year the Als hired Chris Sweet as their offensive line coach, and it just happens to be, for whatever reason, Chu wasn't available, but I'd imagine he would have been back in Montreal coaching. So we're kind of just the stars aligned.
And having Chu, a guy who came from Toronto, emphasizes the importance of the Sir Vincent signing as well, right?
Yep.
So that's huge. So we'll get into that, in a few minutes. So Chu is also named one of the top 50 CFO players of all time. So this guy was a real deal, and who knows? I'm sure there's times where he wishes he could throw the pads on. He looked pretty good there at rookie camp.
When we saw him at rookie camp.
Yeah, he looks like he's dropped a few pounds, and maybe just being back around the environment's really helped him out as well.
And I like that 50 top players in the CFL, because it was voted on by fellow players and alumni. So, that's how well liked he was around the league as a competitor, and you can't ask for much more than that.
Okay, so let's go through the 5 guys who we think are going to make up our starting offensive line. And let's just start with the big man that we all know about, Mr. John Dangerbeard Gott. I have 3'3". I think that's wrong. I think he's 6'3".
Yeah, nice nose.
At 3'3", he has a very unique skill set for the offensive line.
He looks a lot bigger than he is on paper.
3'3", 300 pounds. Wow, it's a brick wall, man.
Yeah,
the juggernaut.
Anyway, so the former Boise State guard was one of the first players, that we really had in a Red Blacks jersey. Gott was acquired last year at the draft, and spent the season at center for this young and inexperienced O-line. He was a former All-Star at guard with Calgary. So I guess we're all wondering, with the acquisition of Alex Mateus, who we'll talk about shortly, who is a center as well, this may give the Red Blacks the ability to move Gott back to guard and kind of sandwich him in between Mateus and Sir Vincent.
And he'll shine there for sure.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And I mean, one place he does shine is at Whole Foods. I mean, we see him there all the time, and you don't weigh 300 pounds at 3'3" by not going to Whole Foods frequently, right?
You can't miss that beard, right? Wherever you go, there it is across the store. But no, but again, you go, and that's the point. He's got that leadership ability, and I think that he got a lot of that last year because he was leaned on to really focus and help coach that young offensive line. And now with Brian Chu there, now it's Gott, just go out and play and follow the playbook. So good.
And I mean, Gott, we've emphasized this a lot, but the community aspect is really huge to us. And this guy, we see him everywhere. And from what I heard, he worked at the stadium in the off season, just doing basic maintenance and stuff. So he's obviously likes to keep busy, and that's great to see, just having him around the field even when it is the off season.
He showed up at a minor league football practice yesterday as part of a promo. So there you go. Absolutely where his mindset is at.
Good for him. Yeah. I mean, that stuff goes such a long way for sure. Okay. So hopefully the man who will fill Gott's center position this year is our first overall pick. Alex Mateus, 6'4", 310, local boy. Was pretty awesome seeing him getting drafted a few weeks ago and have him call out his own name. I think the footage that we got made it pretty obvious that he's pumped to be here. And there's also reports that the Red Blacks gave him a little signing bonus. So hopefully he'll have enough cash. He can go get a new suit made at Harry Rosen and look baller for those social events, right?
I like it. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Moores. He could go to Moores and get a suit tailored there too,
Yeah, or Frankenhope.
I don't want to come across as pretentious. I'm sure dropping Nordstrom bombs last week, I already have people worrying about me. Yeah. So, okay, let's just say go to Moores and get a suit. Let's go that way. So the former University of Connecticut offensive lineman, he did start all 12 games last year, so kind of proves his durability. He also proved the Red Blacks are ready to address that large weakness that we all saw in the 2014 season of just pretty much a weak, porous O-line. The former Ottawa Sooner, Mateus, can play both center and guard. So like I said, hopefully one of the two of them can kind of work together. And I mean, regardless of where they are, I think having those guys side by side is pretty awesome. So Desjardins was quoted as saying, when you take into account Alex's abilities on the field, his durability, the level of competition that he's played against, as well as his integrity and intelligence, the selection of Alex was an easy decision. And I mean, you backed it up, hometown boy. I mean, just an awesome pick.
Yeah. And that just starts to solidify in what Janine talked about in her Around the CFL segment is depth at that offensive line.
Yeah.
That we needed it last year. And durability is important too. So, Young in his career, he hasn't faced any major issues with injury. So
So Mateus began his college career at Penn State, then transferred to UConn. He recently attended the New York Jets minicamp and didn't come away with an NFL contract, but those experiences are amazing. And for a young man to go in a pro camp like that, hopefully you'll be able to share some of those experiences with some of the other young guys.
Yep.
Okay, you want to take on Servi here?
Yeah, we mentioned earlier that Grimace will not work as a...
no, we will not be calling him Grimace. Mike did a little bit of research this week.
McDonald's has their own Wikipedia page. It's something I learned.
Obviously.
I'm starting to like that.
And,
Grimace Rogers.
But Grimace was a slow-witted fellow in character, according to the McDonald's universe that I said last week. It's just a real trip, that universe itself. So
it's such a funny description of someone, because like I feel like in today's politically correct day, you couldn't describe someone as slow-witted. There'd have to be like a different term. It's like, oh, what's up with that dude? Oh, he's slow-witted.
He's grimaced. I get it. Yeah, good.
He's grimaced. Yeah.
So Sir Vincent Rogers, all 6'4" and 320 pounds of him. There's no way I would ever call him a slow-witted at that size. He would eat me for lunch. So again, we go back to, I loved it when we did the free agency show back in January. I posted that great rumble. We called it the Rogers Rumble, when he caught one of his 2 TD passes as a tight end and ran it 50 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Which I posted that video, and magically enough on Twitter, CFL grabbed it and then posted it themselves. Very interesting. Eh?
Oh, weird how that works.
Yeah, it's funny that
it was like 15 minutes later.
15 minutes later, thanks CFL.ca, and we know who you are, by the way. You're listening. Don't forget to call again.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Arena Football League, we know who we're talking to. But anyways, the former Arena Football League, Arizona Rattlers, he's just, again, we're going to talk about a little bit of durability. He's got some of that, but the last 2 seasons protecting Ricky Ray showed that, basically he built a good relationship with both Jason Moss and Brian Chu, because again, the phone call probably picked up, and it was a massive free agent signing, and the fact that you and I discussed it, is that he made no bones. Sir Vincent made no bones. I went to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he knew what he was worth and said, you know what? Match that. Let's go. Like,
pay my bills.
Show me the money.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that. And I think so many times people always dance around that answer.
Yeah, they get
and
on.
We're all professionals here, and in our careers, if someone offered us, if we were in the opportunity to switch positions or switch companies, we'd obviously go to the highest bidder. More often than not.
So and that's what I like. He didn't get on there and say, keep your head up, stick on the ice type of atmosphere and media talk. He just went straight to it. I went to the highest bidder. That's what I was looking for.
Got to pay the bills.
And obviously, with Brian Chu being here and Jason Moss, it's a natural fit.
I mean, obviously there's lots of other benefits to being in Ottawa, but I can't see Sir Vincent renting a canoe at Dow's Lake anytime soon.
No.
Kayak, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But we went through a pile of left tackles last year, and so this kind of solidifies that spot.
And so I think those first 3 guys we talk about moving from the center to the left, that's really going to change the dynamic of our offense and give Henry a little more confidence. Even half a second longer every snap will make a world of a difference.
Yes.
Especially with Henry being pretty much stacked for wide receiver options this year.
The next guy you're going to talk about here, another tall dude at 6'5", right? So got to see over that mountain of offensive linemen.
So Jermichael Dean, 6'5", 330. So we talked about him last year as well. We were really excited about him coming into camp last year. He had an amazing year in Calgary in 2012. He had a brutal broken leg that most people who play that position don't recover from.
Nope.
So I don't know if we really got the full sample of what he can do from our games last year coming off that injury. So he was known as the man who was responsible for John Cornish's success in his days in Calgary when Jamaica was there, and we're really going to be needing the Chev to have an all-star season this year, and let's just hope the Red Blacks can kind of harness some of that synergy that he had created those years past in Calgary.
And before we're going to get into the running backs eventually in the show coming up in the next couple of weeks, but I think it's imperative that we look at how that running game was managed last year with Mike Gibson and how it'll be managed this year under the two offensive coaches. And I think with the with True at the helm, and now this offensive line that's definitely picked up their. Hold on, somebody stop typing for a second.
These mics are so sensitive.
Yeah,
they're just like Mike, a little oversensitive.
Yes, I am. Thanks, guys.
We'll get you a tissue.
Yes. So I'll get back to that. Is that will our running game improve this year based on just coaching and the quality of offensive line? And
it has to.
And it has to, because the Chev is so talented, and if we can just be able to have that threat at the run because of the offensive line, I think that'll send us into scoring position more often than not.
So a quote that I like from Mr. Cornish is he said, "Jermichael never says quit. It would have been very easy for him to quit after an injury like that. Instead, he focused on getting better and working to the point where he is now." So I mean, getting props from John Cornish, whether you're a fan of him or not. That's amazing, and to have a guy like that in our team, let's hope he can kind of recover and get back to where he was in 2012, and I think the right side of our line really needs him to do so. All right, you want to finish her up here with another local boy?
Yeah, 6'6", 294, Nolan McMillan. Again, local kid, right? And what we like about what we saw from McMillan last year is that, word on the street, the kid is hungry for improvement, and I like Coach Campbell because last year he made no bones about how this Nolan McMillan kid was just positive both on and off the field. Born in Arnprior, Renfrew area, but he was raised in Toronto. He still has some family roots here. But you look at that, that rookie, he's pushed into the lineup last year. Again, you can't, if you're a rookie like Nolan McMillan, you can't say enough now you're under a veteran group like John Gott and Sir Vincent Rogers with Brian Chew at the helm. Whatever he learned last year is just going to pour in there again this year, and these guys and the chemistry will start to take on a better. It'll have a better look this year, and with somebody like Nolan McMillan, he can go from tackle to guard without missing a beat. So if there's an injury issue or somebody's going to miss a game, he can fill in the gap. So, and you posted in their notes here all these offensive linemen that are fighting for position, but the depth looks amazing. So.
Yeah, and I mean we'll talk about this. Camp life, but just quickly, Jake Cotton, when we saw him down there, we called him Robo-Knee.
Yes.
But he looked pretty awesome, a big boy, a young new signing, and hopefully also a few of the other young offensive linemen that we drafted this year can kind of come through,
Mm-hmm.
But I still think we are a little thin on O-line. So it's going to be imperative that these five guys not only play well, but stay healthy.
Stay healthy is important because durability for this team will help us with the win factor.
So next week we'll be focusing on another position. Do you want to just leave it up to the fans who they want us to focus on, or who do you feel like doing it on next week?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let's just throw it out there. Whoever you guys want us to, whatever position you want us to focus on next week, let us know, and we'll do that for sure.
Sounds good.
Okay, so what are we rolling into now?
Which segment? Oh my God!
It's Sunday. It's Sunday morning in here, so I feel like we're all a little frazzled. But
will it be the Santino rant?
No, that'll be coming. No, that's not gonna be the Santino rant. I think we're just gonna go to a little bumper, and then we'll do our camp life.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Hey everybody! Thanks for listening to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Don't be afraid to check us out on Twitter @BleedRedBlacks and jump over to Facebook. Give us a comment. Facebook.com/BleedRedBlacks podcast.
All right, camp life. #camp life. So last Wednesday, the Red Blacks had their rookie camp, and producer Mike and I were lucky enough to cruise down there after work. Okay, whoa, I got to pull it back for a second. We have a special guest with us today, the one and only producer Johnny Z. What's up, buddy?
This is a recording.
There he
for
is.
the first time.
Yeah, that's right, man. We got you in here, so it's amazing to have you here.
Yeah, we blew the budget this episode, so that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
no more pizza the rest of the year.
Egg McMuffin and a water. Freaking guy needed
what
a
a
water.
rider! What a rider!
A water.
Before getting into here, I was actually thinking about pre-recording and just sending it to you guys, and you guys just talked recording the whole time.
That would have been awesome because we could have manipulated the interview to kind of make it how we wanted it, right? So.
Oh, I know you guys would.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Just like Fox News. Okay, so let's move on.
Well, it's great to have you in here, and you've been doing so much awesome stuff for us over the last 20 episodes that yeah, it's sweet you're finally here, and hopefully
I'm blushing right now, actually.
Hopefully I thought it was just from the crazy lights that Mark has.
These are tanning lights, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know.
See, now that we got Mark off the mic, we just take jabs, even though we're in his basement at Sunday morning. But Keith Harris Stadium, like, just good to be down there on that Wednesday. We had a beautiful day to go down and stay out of the sun.
Lucky guys.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, you rolled down there too at some point, didn't you, John?
I was at the Thursday morning one, and it was pouring at times. Like, it was just raining, and it was just really damp. Earliest I've been up in the whole week, and probably in the past 4 months.
Until this morning.
Yeah, until this morning, that too.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Nothing
God.
like picking them up, waking them up.
So it was just so great to see the players and coaches back on the field, and said a lot about the character of this team that there were multiple veterans present for the start of the rookie camp. So right off the bat, we saw Burris, DeMarco, and Sinopoli hanging out with the rookie quarterbacks and participating in those drills. So that's awesome. Those guys are obviously in town, ready to play. And the name of the game is focus and hard work in 2015.
Absolutely.
When you were there on Thursday, were there any of the vets out, or was it just, did you notice? Or?
From what I saw, I think I saw Sinopoli and Burris was there. Smiling Hank was still there. He was still participating in some of the drills too. I was actually taking a picture. I had my camera there, and he was finishing one of the drills. Like, I'm up at like the sideline where like the fence is. Like, I'm really close.
Yeah.
And he just he sees me on the camera. He just looks at me. He fakes like trying to throw the ball to me like at the camera.
Oh, nice! What an awesome guy, right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best. And speaking of the best and an awesome guy, Jason Moss, he looked right in his element there. Just a hard-working guy, last man off the field, even as a coach. And you can tell that this QB group, they were really engaged by him, and he really had their attention. So the pads were on.
Yeah, that brought the intensity level up.
It sure did. And there were a few altercations that we saw between wide receivers and DBs, not to name names, but you got to love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it is day one of camp, and I'm sure that some of these guys are worried they may not see a day two of camp, because that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But wow, like just I love seeing that fire, you know, like.
There's a little bit of fire too when they were doing the special teams drill, the run block drill. There was a little bit of intensity there as well.
Mm-hmm.
You'll keep your thumbs up to push into the block. And what was this? What was the? And I can't remember because it's not in front of me. But the special teams coach was saying
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna want your chin and their eyebrows or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah.
He kind of reminded me of the guy from Waterboy. Who,
Like, yeah, come on, Bobby.
Bobby, run the drill. But what an intense drill that was, and we watched a few minutes of that, so that was good.
So Gord Holder, Ottawa Citizen reporter, did a little piece on Keenan LaFrance, rookie running back from Winnipeg. And he was quoted as saying, it's a grind mentally and physically, but I think it warmed me up a little bit. It's a good way for us to get used to the pace, used to the amount of play calling, and the speed of the game. So, I mean, we noticed for sure that it was a quick pace, and I don't know, I'm only comparing it to last year's camp, which is the first camp that I was ever able to watch. But definitely seems like there's a different vibe around the whole team, the coaching staff, and it seemed a lot more organized and intense than it did.
More of an organized and positive vibe from the whole camp. Like, I just, the compete level is there, just everything.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? So So yeah, Kickergate. Like, looks like we're gonna go through these things like Mike's old boxer shorts. So the mayor, as we had mentioned, is gone from his snowmobile accident. And we also released Zach Ramirez and Trey Burrow.
And then
this past week.
And as news develops, as one would say, we signed Delbert Alvarado, who is an international
kicker.
Cowboys and Alouettes rookie tour camp. Johnny Mark looks like he's the man to beat the national, but we might see a shared position in this case. But time will tell, because we just learned yesterday, or late yesterday afternoon, that they signed national kicker Anthony Alex, at a former Toronto Argos kicker.
Okay.
And I posted his video on our Facebook page of him flipping and catching balls. Like, that new kind of hip thing to do is do a backflip and catch a ball at the same time. So, but I don't know. It's the same scenario we had last year, and the battle for this position is about as clear as the water in the canal, as one would say. I'm
hashtag carp eating cigarette butts.
Yeah. Hashtag kick struggle, man. That's real talk. Sure. That's real talk, catfish,
man. So I know I'm a fan of Johnny Mark, just because it hits close to home. Like, let's be honest here, right?
We got
two producers. We got producer Mark. We got producer Johnny Z. So Johnny Mark. Yeah,
that could be a great. That could be a great jersey foul, maybe. Johnny Mark on the back.
Johnny Z Mark.
Johnny Z Mark.
I just got paid, so might as well start stitching them up.
What? Didn't you grab his breakfast this morning? This kid's playing you, man. This kid's playing. He's going to be making it rain this afternoon.
Still a cheaper date than taking you out, son.
Well, yeah, it's hard to find anywhere to buy purses at 8 in the morning on a Sunday.
Yeah. Right. I wanted to mention, too, let's get back to the football here, is Ottawa Gigi, Derek Wendell, and he got invited back this year to training camp. So it's nice to see the Red Blacks. Good on them for keeping a young QB in from CIS and letting him take a shot. What an experience. And just what he was talking about the game and the speed of it compared to the university game, he kind of went on to say going through the reads and taking the drops, everything's so much quicker.
Yeah.
And there's a little interview with him from Ottawa Sun, Tim Baines, just talking about that. And just, again, it's good on the Red Blacks for keeping it cool.
Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of invites, Jordan King of the Ottawa Sooners, he was invited, and he stood out big time to us, for sure, right? Mike, big body.
Yeah.
Impressed by his speed and skill, and as one of the 4 non-roster invitees, he really brought his game face. So good on him to come in and step in and not only represent himself in a professional manner, but also the Ottawa Sooners.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So last year I made a few predictions, and it seems like anyone who I think is going to do well usually gets the snip, right? So
who's this year's Dobson Collins? Because last year, like at the beginning of the season, I was ready to buy a Dobson Collins jersey.
I know.
Have him over for spaghetti dinner.
I was fluffing Dobson pretty hard, and we've now said, I guess, the curse of the Colino.
Yeah.
So who should I curse this year? You ready for this year's curses?
Well, some were saying on Our Nation that Matt Carter deserves a curse because there's a Tim Baines effect as well, apparently, because anybody he recently writes about gets cut right away. So the boys down at ournation.ca.
The power of the pen.
Yeah, the power of the pen. So the boys down at ournation.ca, a few of them think that's a funny bit as well.
That's the case then. The guy you recently wrote about, who kind of looks like the Troy Polamalu of the CFL there.
Oh yeah,
from the rookie camp.
Yeah, John. Yeah, I was going to talk about him.
So we're gonna get a double curse on this guy. So let's talk about it.
So.
Oh boy.
Are we gonna start with him now?
So,
yeah.
No.
Okay.
So this year's curse of the Colino. So a guy that I was very impressed with from the defensive side of the ball was Justin Cudworth, linebacker from Monte Neo, California. He was bringing it every drill, and he really seemed to be a step above the rest of his compadres. The former Eastern Michigan player obviously knows how to play in the cold, and he'd look good in our jersey, come those cold winter months.
Yeah.
And that drill you were speaking of, the thumbs up with Beetlejuice there, he stood right out.
Destroyed.
He was destroying. He was throwing people around, and he was getting praised accordingly.
Bobby, run the ball.
So the other guy on D, and I'm really sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the guy you were referencing, John Canonata.
Yes, Canonata.
Yes.
23-year-old from Seattle, Washington. Yeah, there's an article in the Sun about him. Was it last week or this week?
I think it was just yesterday.
Okay, just yesterday. So that would make it this week then. Referencing his interesting story. He was born with an enlarged heart. Was only expected to live 2 or 3 weeks. Despite all odds, this Troy Polamalu type linebacker, is here, and he's looking really good. And he's looking to be a force on the defense, and he comes from football family too.
Yeah. This morning over coffee, I watched his highlight reel on YouTube, where you can also find the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. But on YouTube, I watched
this YouTube thing's here to stay. I'm telling you,
it's 10 years old now.
10 years old. It's really catching on.
So University of Montana career stats: 269 tackles, 27 of them for a loss, 11 sacks and 3 INTs, and he was all over the field in these highlight reels, and it was awesome. I even watched his high school highlight reel as well, which was he dominated high school. Like, he just dominated defensively, so good for him. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, so football family, so his cousin is Haloti Ngata. So, you got that bloodlines, and Philly Moala from the Colts. So, just really, really says a lot about him, and pretty interesting story. I think he's going to really be someone to watch.
I like his speed, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so the curse of the Colino on offense. I'm going right for 2005 U.S. Open champion Michael Campbell. Wide receiver from Edison, New Jersey. He was one of the few players who was actually making catches. I know our strong point this year will be wide receivers, but I don't think that's rookie wide receivers, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. No drop balls.
So sure, I'm not sure if he'll be around come regular season, but just from first view, he got my attention right away and showed some grit. Too, I think he was involved in one of those little scuffles, so I like to see that. And like I said, the 2005 U.S. Open champ has done a great job of reinventing himself at his new position. Hashtag golf joke. So if anyone doesn't know golf, I guess you thought that was pretty lame, but whatever. I like golf, so I think it's funny. I'm in a golf pool. There you go.
I got Rory McIlroy.
So, what else did you see down at camp there? Good things, bad things from you two lads? Anything?
What do you got, John?
If anything that I saw, like, pretty much through most of the drills that I saw like kicking, tackling, all the defensive plays, receiving plays. I'm pretty sure some of the guys who got released, a few of them, I'm pretty sure I saw like a few missed field goals or a few bad snaps, but you can't really blame those on the kickers. But overall, like most like I think I saw Brian Chu actually. He was really mentoring the guys properly. Like, I was really close on the field there, and
I think that's what you're referencing there is just that ability that Coach Campbell talked about. He's like, basically, I got to get these rookies up to speed so they can compete with the veterans. Like, we're going to show them what we're doing. And obviously, if you don't, I shouldn't say obviously, but those guys aren't going to make that first rookie cut. But the guys that are there now are prepared to compete with veterans. And actually, something I've talked about year in and year out is that training camp is a time where it elevates the competition level of guys that are on the cusp.
And I noticed that a few of the kids that we were expecting big things from looked frazzled and looked rattled and looked intimidated, and that
you're talking about number 8 receiver there, possibly Jake Hardy.
I didn't want to say it. Yeah, so our second round pick, 10th overall this year, he was fighting it
first day time. When we saw him first day,
he definitely looked overwhelmed, and I think he looked physically he was there, but he dropped. I don't know if he came up with a pass or.
I didn't see him catch anything while I was
there. I don't think he did. Yeah.
But to follow up on that, on Our Nation, there were some boys that saw him through the rest of the camp and said he was looking okay.
Good.
There was also some disputes on how well he did on the first day with impressions, but he definitely has a speed element to him that's great for a national player, and that's awesome. So hopefully that elevates him into a position where he can catch the ball coming through the routes. So.
Okay, so let's do a little news / around the CFL. So, Mike, you got a little sneak peek on the season ticket delivery package?
Yeah, there was the Red Blacks put that little picture out of just the package that came last year, I was impressed. It came in a box. It was like there's a whole unwrapping of the box, so to speak, and it's definitely a collector's best friend, because the box this year looks wooden. It's probably not wooden, but it has that wood look with a burnt logo, and I just think that's good. They're keeping it in that idea that if you're a fan and we're going to give you a nice season ticket package, it probably becomes part of that collector's package if you're a big fan, and
they're really sticking with that whole like Lumbertown kind of thing.
Feel.
Yeah, I really like that. They're still pushing for that for the team, like, because we used to be a Lumbertown.
Yeah.
It's good to see like that kind of stuff. I really like that.
They're sticking to that message.
And if I get my tickets delivered to me in a humidor, then win-win.
Win-win.
That's cool.
Yeah. But speaking of ticket displays, I mentioned like I didn't do anything with my season tickets last year. They're still sitting in my desk drawer, all neatly packed. But I did see some great ticket displays at the end of last season.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, my word. And I'm going to call out Clint Ford because his looked really good. Mm-hmm. And there was another one I saw on social media, and I believe it might have been Rich Savari's. And, getting them framed and putting them up there. Rich's, Section F effort, just great. And fans like to do that kind of thing. So the more that the team understands about collectibles and keeping us in line with like nice lanyards and things like that, like we love that stuff.
The coins, the pins, right? Everything.
I got all
adds
the
up
coins. I got all the coins.
And that's part of the CFL culture. And anyone who's been involved in this culture for many years knows that there's always those guys at the Grey Cup that are just covered in pins that have been wearing them for the last 40 years, or 50 years.
And I was in line to get the first inaugural pin, the Argos pin last year, and I wear it. I got one that I wear and one I put away. So, yeah, I'm that same guy. I like that stuff. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's so many things these days that aren't like tangible. It's nice to have something in your hand like that coin, or whatever. Yeah. So
and that's what what's great though is we're seeing a lot of R&B around town. A lot of R&B, and I'm not talking about Destiny's Child, right?
I was thinking Alicia Keys, but
Ooh, that's another podcast. One of Bob Dylan's favorite songs, "Where in the World is Alicia Keys?" Anyways, another story.
Was Waterfalls? Is that Destiny's Child?
No, it was
TLC.
Oh, I love that.
Ask the DJ.
I love that video, man.
But fans are really breaking out their gear. But what I mean about R&B is I'm seeing a lot of Red Blacks gear around town. You go into the pubs like I did the other day, and just walking down Bank Street, you're seeing the hats and the shirts pop out. I just got myself a new Red Black shirt, and I'm looking for a jersey for sure this year. I'll probably decide mid-season. I'm not really a jersey guy, so it's so hard for me. Like getting a jersey is like getting a freaking tattoo in my mind. It's like
it's expensive, and
it's a commitment.
It's a commitment, and it may not work out.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to be the guy rolling into the game this year wearing my Paris Jackson jersey,
And your Dobbs, and
never forget
Dobson Collins.
Dobson Collins jersey. Now my Brett Mayer jersey, worst investment I ever made.
And my
Mayergate.
Yeah.
Forget about my Jamal Smith jersey.
So to emphasize your point, one thing that lets me know that Red Blacks merch is in high demand is all those sketchy bodegas on Bank Street that look like convenience stores but aren't and sell non-official apparel.
Yes.
Now have like fake Red Black stuff.
Yes.
And before all they'd have is 14 different versions of New York Yankees caps with like that are like bedazzled or like neon or like gangster. But now it's like all Red Black stuff. So that's great, right?
Yeah.
So if they can start marketing that stuff as like a fashion accessory, like if it's that cool, if it's that rad for kids to wear, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So
saw a bunch at a Quickie in Sandy Hill, like the Ottawa U area.
like some guy made them like in his garage that morning or something. Yeah, I'm sure the Red Blacks don't like that, but from a brand standpoint, that's like
it.
There's
man, yeah, it's great, yeah.
So again, this year, even though we are elder statesmen now in the CFL podcast world. Not really, but...
Even though some people still confuse us for other entities, but that's okay.
That's okay. More podcasts, absolutely. So good on the CFL community for keep rolling. Edmonton has... Wait, they have 2 podcasts now. You and I listened to Eskimo Empire this week.
It was great.
Great show.
Yeah,
and
hilarious.
And they sent us a great message thanking us for paving the podcast road with gold for them.
Oh my word!
No, not really, but they thanked us.
I'm just vomiting in my mouth a little bit there. Yeah,
yeah, I know.
It tastes like McDonald's sauce.
I've got the McBurps.
McBurps.
And they have 2 shows actually. So Section O is releasing a show out of Edmonton as well. That's coming up in a few weeks. But Dear Ottawa, you have a podcast. You don't need 2. Okay, just a heads up. We own the market share here. Saying. So
just saying.
Put the mics down.
My territorio.
And
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, absolutely. The Argos and Owls are the only 2 teams now without a podcast, right? And I'd like to see them get a podcast. So you and I discussed about starting a charity event and just start raising money, and get these guys some podcasts.
Sure.
But like with most charity events, 87% of the profits are for admin. So that's going to pay for your jersey, my jersey, and a couple of hot dogs at a game, and anything left over, we'll buy a mic.
I'll get a keychain.
Get a keychain. You'll get a keychain.
Gear down there, bud.
Gear down.
We said 87%.
87%. But whatever's left over, I'm sure we can get the Owls and Argos a couple of microphones and a photoshopped logo.
Photoshop.
The Argos might not have a podcast, but with one thing, one fan that I discovered during the whole TFC debate about all the fans and stuff on Twitter, I saw one Argos fan by the name of Phil Kitchen. He has a website where it's like just all these old archives of football players, like even when they were the Renegades, just like for every team, this guy takes a lot of pictures.
Cool.
And
forward that to me.
Like, yeah, absolutely. He just had like all these pictures, even of the Red Blacks, and he just has like a lot of like these historical kind of archives and stuff online. And it's really tight. Very, very passionate fan and stuff on
Twitter.
Twitter.
We'll throw a link up to that for sure after the show.
But it speaks volumes of what we're doing here is building a brand culture for the team, and the Argos are going to need some of that in the future. They're going to need fan-based growth. To fill BMO Stadium and keep moving forward.
It is hard to believe, like a team with 140 plus years experience or existence, are almost it's time for a new beginning.
Yes.
Right. And this BMO Field experiment, or I don't think it's going to be experiment. I think it's going to be a success.
Absolutely.
Is really going to enable them to kind of start with a clean slate again. And I think
figure out how to get Malens into that.
Yeah, stadium. And I think that's going to be great. And the guys from I think it was from the Eskimo Empire podcast who were saying reducing the availability of tickets kind of naturally increases the want and need for that, especially in a kind of no offense to Torontonians, but kind of a shallow city when it comes to there's so many things to do.
Yeah.
And if it is tough to get a ticket, a lot of those people may want to.
And on that,
I want to be with that people. Yes.
And on that
command.
Yeah, exactly.
And on that podcast, they mentioned Montreal. Montreal was used as the example, and you and I know that quite well. One of the reasons why I would go to Montreal was the stadium was comforting, and it was great football.
I mean, it was just at the top of a hill, though. Really?
Better than the Big O.
But at the top of a hill?
Yeah.
I'm just speaking full-on logistics of getting there. The stadium's amazing.
More like McHill.
McHill
Stadium. McHill Stadium.
That's right. Coming home is glorious. Crazy Legs all the way down to St. Catherine Street. But
Setting up St. Denis, going to some pubs there.
There you go. Yeah.
Completely sideways on riding the wave, as one would say.
Oh man, Molson Dry for life.
No, it's all about the Hexport there, man. It's all about
that's
Molson.
right. I know. I'll learn.
I got me those free tickets to Serena Ryder and the Strombolis.
Oh, I missed the boat.
Yeah. So July 3rd, Friday. I'm taking my wife to the show, and
cool.
So I want to thank Ottawa Sports Entertainment Group, because that's as close as my wife will get to the stadium all year.
You had to get tickets? I thought it was just free show up.
No, you had to
follow the link and
go through the process.
Yeah. Well, I done goofed.
Yeah. Sorry, Johnny. Yeah, that date you had planned, you might have to find something else to do. Just take her to Jack Astor's. I heard it's awesome. If they let you in.
If they let you in.
Just make sure you don't have any Red Blacks gear on. You should be okay.
Okay.
RDS to the rescue. I don't think I've ever said that before. So the website will be showing the preseason game in Laval. So fire up your Pentium 133 and you'll be able to watch the game online. Okay, so we're now going to, I guess, time for one of Johnny Z's Bytown Beats segments. So who do you got for us this week, my friend?
This week we got a band called the Ashleys, just here out of Ottawa. I was when I was doing radio broadcasting at Algonquin, we had this concert series in our last semester, and we would just organize a bunch of bands and have them play at what was it called? Lunetta's on Bronson. Rest in peace. And because they used to have a lot of really killer shows there for such a small venue. And when I was helping the bands and stuff set up, I asked them like, how would you guys like describe your sound? Like, and you know, obviously most artists they don't really like to have like a sort of a generalization of their sound. But he did say that at one show, one other band member said that they kind of sound like Kings of Leon mixed with the Beach Boys.
Okay, that sounds pretty glorious.
Pretty tight. Like, and they moved to Montreal now, obviously, because you know Montreal, Toronto are the ones to hit up for at least when you want to get your name and stuff out there and do more shows, because they are more active and stuff in the downtown live music scene. I mean, we do have a good scene here, but obviously it's a lot more difficult than Montreal and Toronto. Montreal, Toronto is just it's a lot easier for bands.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, let's roll into it. And once again, Johnny, thanks for being here. It's awesome having you here.
It's always a pleasure.
And you've been like crushing lots of awesome work for us over the last year and a half. This is just I just want to. I don't want to make them blush one more time.
It's amazing. It's amazing the kids you find in Pinecrest Terrace. Let me just tell you, straight up.
What up, West End?
What's up, West End?
Irish Station.
Okay, well maybe I'm gonna reel it back. Maybe I don't know about that gang stuff going on over here. So I'm showing my age now. He's not speaking my language anymore. I'm feeling intimidated. Oh my god, I think I'm the one blushing now. Okay, let's roll into this segment before I start crying.
Hey guys, for Instagram photos, check us out at Bleed Red Blacks. For game day photos, tailgate photos, and photos of whatever, come check us out at Bleed Red Blacks.
Here at Bleed Red Blacks, we love our football, but we also love the music our great city has to offer. It's the Bytown Beats local music spotlight segment on the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Today's featured artist, the Ashleys. Thank you for listening to this week's installment of the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. All musical content used in this podcast is all local Ottawa talent. If you are a local artist wanting to get your material heard on Bleed Red Blacks, send us a message on our Facebook group. Tune in next time, and remember to bleed red black.